What's going on, bottom line viewers? It's Mitch back here with another week of NFL best bets, this time for divisional round. In this video, I will give you the side that I'm on this week in divisional round, picking each and every game against the spread, giving you the side and the reasoning for why I'm on that team this week in the 2021 NFL playoffs. It's divisional round, the best week, in my opinion, each and every year of football. And I'm going to give you the best bets of the best round. But before I do, make sure you do spike that like button, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more NFL best bets just like this each and every week. You can find best bets and make some money on the NFL here on the Bottom Line View. And if you're interested in making some money on the NFL, betting on the NFL, make sure you check out the description, because that's where you can find my Patreon. It starts at $3 a month, and I give you all of the bets that I'm looking at, and I am actually legitimately putting money on throughout the week, breaking them down. We have NFL specific shows that are not found here on the channel on YouTube that you can also get there on Patreon. So consider subscribing and consider becoming a Bottom Line View patron. Before getting to my divisional round best bets, let's check how I did during the wild card round. I went 500, 3-3, and to be honest with you, we had some bad breaks, like a blocked extra point in the Tampa Bay Washington game. But hey, things happen, right? Things happen. Overall though, not a terrible week. I would have liked to have done better because I was 5-1 straight up, so I'm looking to do better here in divisional round. This week, I'm just going in order of schedule because I really don't have a confidence meter this week for the divisional round. I feel they're all kind of the same. Now, I will let you know when I break down the pick and the game if I like this game slightly more than the others. I know for sure there's at least one of them that I feel very strongly about. The others are about the same. Let's kick it off with the number 1 seed Green Bay Packers in the NFC taking on the underdog number 6 seed LA Rams, who just upset the number 3 seed NFC West rival Seattle Seahawks last weekend. We backed the Rams last weekend, and we're riding with the Rams once again in divisional round, taking them plus the 7 points. The reason I'm on the Rams is because I believe that in the NFL, familiarity breeds competition. It breeds close games, especially in the NFL with two talented teams. And what am I talking about here? Familiarity. They're not in the same division. The coaches, Matt LaFleur, Sean McVay. It's teacher versus student here. And the teacher, Sean McVay, I believe is going to have some tricks up his sleeve to give his team the advantage in this matchup. This game really does come down to the Rams' ability on offense. Everybody's going to talk about the Rams' defense, the Packers' offense, that epic matchup, but the Rams' offense is really the reason the Rams can pull off an upset or not in this game. The Rams are one of the best teams at running the ball with their inside-outside Sean McVay scheme in the league. Cam Akers had a great game versus Seattle and has really been coming on as a rookie as of late. And why this is so important and crucial is because the Packers typically do struggle versus the run and have for the past 2 seasons. If you've seen a Packers loss, most likely it's come because the defense has not been able to stop the run. The Packers have 3 losses on the season in 2020-2021, and all 3 involved the other team rushing for 140 plus yards. Now you may say, whoa, Mitch, hold on. That's because when you're winning, you run the ball, and that's how you get yards at the end of the game. Hold up. When you look at those scores, outside of the Bucs gaining 140 plus yards, the other games, Minnesota, Indianapolis, both very close shootout-esque type of games, which means that they ran the ball when it was actually crucial to determining the game, not just to run the clock out. And specifically, Minnesota is a team that runs a very similar Gary Kubiak-led offense that kind of falls within the same tree as Sean McVay. So you could see the ties to the Vikings having success running the ball, to the Rams having success running the ball. In fact, the Packers have only beaten one team this year that has ranked inside the top 12 in rushing DVOA this season, the Tennessee Titans. And we understand that that game was in a snowstorm. So the footing, other aspects of the game just were off for Tennessee, specifically their defense, which does not even compare to the Rams defense. Indianapolis, Tampa Bay, Minnesota all rank inside the top 12. So do the LA Rams. So if they can have success running the ball, they can have success keeping Aaron Rodgers on the sideline and helping that great defense out. Now let's talk about that great defense, right? I believe the Rams are just about a perfect matchup to slow down the MVP and to slow down arguably the best receiver in football, Davante Adams, because they have a man named Jalen Ramsey. I'm not sure if you've heard of him, but he's actually pretty good at football, guys. Ramsey has allowed a league best 20.6 yards per game this season. Even if Davante Adams gets near 30, 40 yards on the game, that's still going to be considerably slowing down one of the best targets and the guy that Rodgers looks to in big situations. Third down, in the red zone, just generally 2-minute offense. He's a big part of what the Packers do offensively. And then when you look outside of that matchup, I really feel the Rams have great matchups across the board. Darius Williams could be on Valdez-Scantling. I'd give the check mark there to the LA Rams. If you have Troy Hill on Allen Lazard, I'd probably give the edge to the Rams as well. And even John Johnson on Robert Tonyan, which is more a little close there, maybe equal. I'd still lean towards the Rams being able to take away the secondary weapons of the Packers in the passing game. Just the way that Staley is scheming it up, the way these players are playing with such speed, intensity, and they are playing so smart in the back end specifically, which ties to their front end, their pass rush, where you have the almighty Aaron Donald, the Hulk himself. This guy is a one-man wrecking machine, but what we do not consider is that the rest of the D-line is so damn good. I'm talking about Joseph Day, Fox, Brockers, and then you're talking about the edge rush because David Bakhtiari is out. Remember, we talked about this a couple of weeks ago. He will not be here versus one of the game's best pass rushes. And when you miss that type of player, it may result in the rest of the offensive line and the continuity being scattered and collapsing all around their quarterback. That does tend to happen, and Leonard Floyd could be the guy to make that happen off the edge, who typically lines up on the side of where David Bakhtiari would be. So everything tells me the Rams defensively will make life tough on Aaron Rodgers, and I do believe the Rams will have some success offensively thanks to their rushing attack. So I'm going to take the 7 with LA. I kind of like it. The nightcap on Saturday is maybe the most anticipated game of this weekend for football fanatics. I'm talking about the Buffalo Bills, my boy Josh Allen, taking on my other boy. I love Lamar Jackson as well. So this game is definitely difficult for me to handicap here and to lean either way. So you could totally tell I am unbiased as they come for this matchup. This game is going to be great, and I could understand why you would pick either side. There's some good arguments for each side. Of course, the Ravens' ability to run the football on the Bills could be a big factor, but I am going with the Buffalo Bills to cover the 2.5-point spread. Let's start with reason number 1. The Baltimore Ravens defense, while it is very good, and I've been hyping it up when healthy, and it was the reason I took the Ravens to beat and to cover versus Tennessee, Calais Campbell, Brandon Williams, I was talking about it last week. They were going to stuff Derrick Henry. You heard it here first. But this week, that doesn't matter. You don't need to stop the run versus the Bills. You need to stop the pass. And I'm not sure the Baltimore Ravens this year are built to stop a team like Buffalo. The closest thing I can compare Buffalo to is Kansas City. And the last time I remember Kansas City playing Baltimore, it wasn't pretty for the Ravens defense. Mahomes threw nearly 350 yards. He had about 3 or 4 touchdowns. I believe he had like a few scrambles mixed in there. Kelsey, Hill, they all had a big game. Why do I say this? The Bills have been absolutely lights out versus the blitz. The Baltimore Ravens absolutely love to blitz. They actually blitz at the highest rate in the NFL, around 30%. Last year, these two teams played, and that was the difference in the game. The ability for Wink Martindale to scheme up pressure towards Josh Allen. They hit him a ton. They pressured him a lot. They sacked him not once, not twice, not 3 times, not 4 times, not 5 times, 6 times they sacked Josh Allen last year. That's incredible. They will not do this year. Why? Because Josh Allen is a much more mature quarterback. He has much better weapons around him who are going to get open much quicker in their routes, much quicker in the play, allowing Allen to get rid of the football with a quick, rapid snap of the wrist. Josh Allen this year has been a totally different quarterback when it comes to being blitzed. He has actually been the best quarterback this year when being blitzed in multiple categories, whether it's passer rating, touchdowns, yards. Josh Allen nearly ranks the top of the league in all of those categories, and I believe he could take advantage of the secondary that doesn't necessarily match up well with his receivers. The Bills' receivers are based on speed and quickness and route running and getting separation. The Ravens' secondary is more based on length, physicality, and I don't think these two things really match. Now, if it snows in this game, which is potentially there, could happen, I think that only favors the Bills because Josh Allen has the best arm in football. And to throw through the snow, you need a wicked arm. And you need receivers who are decisive in their routes, quick in their routes. And that actually, just like you saw Devontae Adams versus the Titans earlier this year, that helps a Cole Beasley. That helps a Stephon Diggs. You would think the Ravens would be probably better in the snow because they're such a great running team. But I think Lamar Jackson's inability to rip the ball through the snow and inability to pass at all would be an absolutely massive factor that is much greater than the ability to just run the ball, because that would just mean the Bills are even closer to the line of scrimmage with all of their players playing the run and being ready for that. When you speak about the Ravens' ability to run, that's obviously their greatest edge in this matchup, snow or no snow. But the Bills are actually very good where Lamar Jackson is very good. Typically, Lamar Jackson is very good at running the ball to the right side. Well, the Bills are actually at their best defending runs to the right. They rank in the top 8 in runs to the right end, and they actually rank in the top 5, 4th in runs to the right tackle. So Lamar Jackson won't really be able to get to the outside versus those runs to the right that he loves to keep, and he loves to scramble that way to the right because he's right-handed, of course. I believe the Bills cover because their ability to consistently pass the ball on the Ravens defense will be much more reliable than the Ravens' ability to run the ball on the Bills' defense. That's why I'm taking Buffalo, the only team in 2019 that actually held Lamar Jackson under 200 combined yards a year ago. Bills -2.5. Now, switching from Saturday to Sunday, the Cleveland Browns, who just upset the Pittsburgh Steelers, up 28-0 in the first quarter, are traveling to Arrowhead with an even greater test on the road, facing the defending champions in Arrowhead. Unlike last week, I am taking the Cleveland Browns, and this is the game, guys, that I like the most. This might be bold to bet against the Chiefs after a bye, rest, Andy Reid's preparation. I've heard it all. But the Kansas City Chiefs, I believe at this point in time, the way people are talking about them, they're a little overrated. Let's remember that the Kansas City Chiefs have not won a game by more than a touchdown since November 1st, guys. That is 7 one-score wins in a row. I fully expect them to win this game. But a 10-point spread is completely disgusting. A 10-point spread is completely just overlooking Cleveland. It's actually kind of disrespectful towards what Cleveland has done and who Cleveland is and how they match up with Kansas City. This is a team in Cleveland that reminds me a lot of a team that has played Kansas City better than most, and that is the Las Vegas Raiders. The Raiders beat the Chiefs once and nearly beat them again on Sunday Night Football. The Browns have a lot of similarities to John Gruden's Raiders. They have a strong, big offensive line. They can run the football. Behind that offensive line, they are great in the play action game. They utilize their tight ends well. They have not great receivers, but okay system type of receivers who are reliable. They make plays. Defensively, they are not great. I would say Cleveland is better. They have more playmakers like Myles Garrett. They're getting Denzel Ward back. They're better than the Raiders, but they have a scheme that slows down Kansas City and forces Kansas City to play a slower game. The Cleveland Browns have everything it takes here to be a really feisty live underdog in divisional round. The Cleveland Browns are the number 1 team this year in explosive run rate. They create big run after big run after big run. Kansas City's weakness defensively is defending the run. Kansas City ranks 31st in run DVOA. They have not been good versus the run. And typically when they play strong offensive lines, like the New England Patriots, they give up yards on the ground even when Brian Hoyer was starting at quarterback. 185 yards rushing the Patriots had on that day and kept that game very close for a majority of it. Cleveland offensively has the capability of chewing up the clock with that run game, with a short passing game, and the ability to keep Patrick Mahomes on the sideline sipping Gatorade, which is ultimately the number 1 trait you need to beat the Chiefs. Minimize Mahomes' impact on the game. Cleveland, 3rd in time of possession. Kansas City's defense, 22nd. Now, Cleveland also has the edge on 3rd down. They rank inside the top 10, while Kansas City's an average 17th. And in the red zone, Kansas City is allowing opponents 82% of the time to score a touchdown. That is last, dead last in the NFL. So when Cleveland moves the ball, sustains drives, they're going to score when they get to the red zone, putting pressure on Mahomes to score. Not only do I believe the Browns can actually run the ball, I also believe they'll have success passing it because of the advantages they have in the middle of the field at slot receiver with Jarvis Landry, tight end, and at running back. The Chiefs have allowed the most receiving yards to the running back position this year. The Browns feature Kareem Hunt, one of the better receiving running backs in the league, who's utilized a lot out of the backfield, even as a slot receiver himself or out wide in 5 wide situations for Cleveland. Tight end position, Austin Hooper has been very reliable, along with Bryant, along with Njoku. All these guys have had a hand in Cleveland's awesome offense over the last half of the season. And Kansas City, again, doesn't rank very well versus the tight end position. They have allowed the 5th most yards to the tight end position in 2020. Cleveland basically has a mismatch in every aspect from their offense versus the Chiefs' defense. But the question is, even if the Browns score a lot, move the football a lot, can they even slow down Patrick Mahomes? Well, I believe they kind of can. because Joe Woods is their defensive coordinator, a guy that was preparing for Kansas City for 2 weeks last year in February. Remember, he was the passing game coordinator and the DB coach for San Francisco, and the 49ers did a pretty good job defending Patrick Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, and Travis Kelce for at least 3 quarters in that game. So he's going to have a nice fundamental scheme and a copy that Cleveland can use, maybe add a few layers to it to attack Kansas City's offense and make them at least drive the length of the field. That's what Cleveland's going to do. They're going to play very soft. They're not going to give up the big play. They're going to count on their offense to score, and they are going to lock down in the red zone, because that is where the Chiefs are not as great offensively. They're just middle of the pack red zone offense compared to their amazing from 20 to 20. The defensive scheme I'm referring to is what I often call the Seattle scheme. This is a scheme where it's cover 3, press bail, and this is a scheme that often Kansas City does not fare well against, just as recent as Atlanta late in this season. A little bit of a variation there with Raheem Morris coming in for Dan Quinn, but still very similar defense, as well as the Chargers, who have given the Chiefs a tough time over the last couple of seasons. So Joe Woods is bringing a scheme that has given Mahomes some issues, or at least slowed him down to a degree. But does Cleveland actually have the players to make plays? Well, I think they do. They have 2 potential game changers, one in the secondary, one in the front 7. I'm talking about Denzel Ward, who's one of the few corners with the speed and the ability to stay with Tyreek Hill one-on-one on the occasion. And then, of course, Myles Garrett, who's one of the game's best edge rushers. And he is playing a Kansas City offensive line without Mitchell Schwartz. So he'll have all the opportunity to get after Patrick Mahomes and cause a game-changing play. So at the end of the day, the Browns have a scheme defensively that could slow down the Chiefs just enough for them to win a shootout and to at least make this game close. 10 points is absolutely ridiculous to me. I'm taking the Cleveland Browns plus 10 over the Kansas City Chiefs, and I think this game will be far more entertaining than people expect, as long as the Browns come to play on Sunday. And the marquee for divisional round is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, New Orleans Saints, number 3. Tom Brady, Drew Brees. Could this be Drew Brees' last game in the NFL? Will Tom Brady send him packing, send him home into retirement? I believe he will. I'm taking the Tampa Bay Buccaneers plus the 3 over the New Orleans Saints. I've heard this game might be broadcasted on the History Channel. It's the 2 oldest quarterbacks in NFL history playing each other in a playoff game. It's going to be phenomenal. To me, it is the most hyped game. It's going to draw the biggest number, the biggest ratings. It's going to be a lot of fun and a lot of bets. A lot of money is going to be on this game. I would suggest to take the Bucs, and here is why. First reason is kind of mental. When you beat a team twice, in the third game, there is not much you can do to improve. There is not much you can say on offense or defense that you can do better. You have to just show up and play. Maybe you have a wrinkle or two, but you show up, you play, and you have less motivation to change the way you've played, which means the other team, the underdog, the team that's lost 2 games, is going to be looking at what you've done to try to stop it, to try to beat it, to try and ultimately overcome it in the third game. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are that underdog. They are that team that has lost 2 games in kind of embarrassing fashion. And they are a totally different team in the third matchup entering this divisional round game. And to me, that means the Bucs know what the Saints are going to be. But the Saints don't know what the Bucs are going to be. They might have an idea from recent performance from the last few stretch of games here for Tampa Bay and the wild card game. But they don't know in person what it's going to be, while Tampa Bay does know. And for everybody saying the Saints are a bad matchup for Tampa Bay, I don't know if it was really the Saints or if it was just the Bucs getting in their own way. Let me tell you why. So Tampa Bay has changed the way they've played offense. Over the past few weeks, since the bye actually, Tom Brady has been the best quarterback in the NFL. Point blank period. End of discussion. Best quarterback in the NFL, and I am not lying. The facts, the stats back it up. He has been PFF's best graded passer by a sizable margin since week 13. He has 18 big-time throws to just one turnover-worthy throw. Drew Brees, on the other hand, has not been very good. He has ranked lower than Drew Lock, ranking 20th over that same stretch. Tom Brady has played so great because the Bucs have changed. What have the Bucs changed? There are a few things. Their offensive line has become healthy, and they have figured out how to protect Tom, to keep Tom clean in the pocket, to allow Tom to be at his best. That's number one. Number two, they have added Antonio Brown, and Antonio Brown has gotten better and better and better throughout the last few weeks. Antonio Brown was thrown into the Week 9 game with really no recognition of the offense or feel for the game since being out of the sport for a long time. He is back closer to 100% of Antonio Brown that we saw a couple years ago. Antonio Brown is a really good receiver that could have a major impact on this game, especially if he's seeing the second or third corner on New Orleans, which is most likely. And he has a connection with Tom Brady. Brady has also gained a connection with his other players. He's gained the continuity with a Chris Godwin, with a Cameron Brate, with a Mike Evans. The only guy he really had it with earlier was Gronk because they played so long together. But the ability to play more and more snaps together, the ability to have more and more practice time together, you can see it tangibly on the field. Brady and his receivers clicking, the rhythm is there, the understanding of where you're going to be on a certain play, on a certain route, how you read something, how I read something. It's all there, and it's all working at the best level in the league right now from a passing perspective. And that is thanks a lot to play action. The Buccaneers have become a play action heavy team, going from 18% before the bye to now 33% as recently as the wild card round. Tom Brady is being protected because of it and is allowed to take those deep shots because they're keeping in Gronk to block. They're keeping in an extra tackle to block. And that's allowing more time for Brady to hit those deep shots. And we know that when Brady has time, he can still make every throw in the book. Drew Brees, not so much. More on that in a second. Ali Marpet has been really key to that offensive line to protecting Tom Brady. He did not play in the Week 9 game. In that Week 9 game, Joe Haeg played for him, allowed 7 pressures, multiple sacks, and multiple quarterback hits. He had a 40 PFF grade and a 20 pass blocking grade. He is not starting in this game. Ali Marpet, on the other hand, is one of the game's most elite guards. He is a major impact and a huge reason the Bucs have gotten on track on that offensive line and offensively. So overall, the Bucs are just a much better, more explosive, more in tune offense that has found their identity. So they'll score in this game. I am not worried about that. I think the Saints' ability to stifle Brady has been more about the Bucs being on the wrong page. But now they're on the same page. And that means Brady and this offense will score at least in the mid-20s to the 30s. So what will the Saints do on offense? That is the question. And this is what I mean when I said the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have lost these games. They've gotten in their own way. In the first game, they did a spectacular job at defending Drew Brees. He had under 200 yards. He had just a touchdown. He only completed like 18 out of 30 passes. He wasn't super effective or efficient. And they did a great job versus the passing game. And that was because they played a much more aggressive man-to-man style of defense. In the second matchup, they played a much more soft zone defense, which was very weird and very odd because they had so much success on what they did in week 1, and they totally changed it in week 9, and it was an utter disaster. When Drew Brees has time, When Drew Brees can sit back and just have all the timing with his receivers and the rhythm, he's unstoppable. He's still awesome. But when that rhythm is thrown off just a little bit, Drew Brees is also thrown off. Drew Brees' completion percentage goes down from 74.6 to when both the outside corners are playing press man coverage, 57.6%. Specifically versus the Bucs, the yards per attempt per play and the overall completion percentage went down when the Bucs played man as compared to zone. The interesting thing about this is that Bruce Arians made a comment about it. He said that the Bears played great defense versus the Saints in the wild card round, except for the drive where they played a lot of zone coverage. The Bucs have not lost a game when they've scored 25 plus points. I believe they do that in this game, and I actually think their defense has a bounce back performance versus New Orleans and does a much better job versus Drew Brees than the Saints do versus Tom Brady. The Bucs will win outright, and I will take the field goal with the underdog here. I will take the Tampa Bay Buccaneers plus 9 points, and I will also pair that with the Cleveland Browns on the same day plus 16. Now, I would advise if you have a 7-point teaser that it's probably even better to do a 7-point teaser just because it gets to 10 and it gets to 17, and those are very good numbers in the NFL and NFL scores. But 16, 9 gets over some key numbers, a lot of points for Cleveland generally, and for Tampa Bay, I believe it will be a one-score game regardless of the outcome on either side, and I like them in that one. So that's the teaser of the week. Those are my best bets for divisional round. Hope you enjoyed this info and my breakdowns for each game. If you did, don't forget to spike that like button and subscribe to the channel for more. It's Mitch. Enjoy divisional weekend. Any questions you have, let me know in the comment section below, and good luck on your bets. Peace.